I'm Hanari. Nice to meet you.
How would you describe who you are as an artist and what you do to someone who has no background knowledge of you?
I am a Korean American indie pop artist, and something that I really prioritize is connection to myself and others. I really prioritize speaking my truth and what I'm going through in my lyrics. I like to get vulnerable with it and reflect what I'm going through in my life. I'm also a very multifaceted person, so I would hope that what you're getting in real life is also what you're getting with my music. So I really like to blend all facets of my personality in with my music, including fashion. I'm really inspired by Japanese fashion, which is why this part is kind of more like Shibuya style Japanese fashion. I don't know, I just really want to wake up and see what I aspire to be. So just colorful, authentic, all very gorgeous Asian women. I think there's this pressure for women to do something, you know, make a statement about something or other, or not make a statement, or just be something, be in a box. And I always strive to not do that. I want to do whatever the hell I want. I want to be 10-year-old me again, because I think kids, before, you know, society conditions them to be this or that, they kind of just have their own thing going on. And that is something that I really love. I think that is authenticity in its truest form. And that's really difficult for me, because I think as a musician, you have to think of yourself as a brand at the end of the day. I think doing whatever the hell I want is kind of a brand in and of itself, and that's really a struggle for me. Sometimes I feel like a hypocrite in the music industry, because I, by definition, have to put myself in a box so that I'm marketable. And I feel like as a musician, as a lot of creatives, they want to escape the rat race. They, you know, don't want to think of themselves as a cog in the machine. But I think to turn a profit, or when you think about productivity or engagement levels and all that, you have to kind of enter another rat race.
Many multimedia artists describe their early years as living a double life. How do you donate the energy when your dreams and demands them on day?
Aside from having a day job and then having the, you know, nighttime, being 24/7, content creator, musician, all that, I think for me, leading a double life is really about compartmentalizing a lot of my personal feelings. For example, content creation doesn't really come easily for me. It never really has. It took me about a year to really get familiarized with the landscape of the algorithm, and I think a lot of musicians feel the same way. So it was just about kind of shutting up and putting out in a way, right? And I think a lot of creatives don't like to feel that way, but at the end of the day, you unfortunately have to do what you have to do. And I think as a multimedia artist who's a woman, I think that's also really relevant, because again, kind of going back to being a brand, I think women feel a lot of pressure to be a certain brand of woman, to be feminist or trad, or, you know, walking the beaten path, or being a rebel. And I think that kind of stems from the patriarchy, but also just how any industry works. You have to be a brand, you have to market yourself in a way that people are gonna recognize. So I think for me, leading a double life is just about trying to stay true to myself while also trying to be successful in this framework.
Your admiration of Maria's sound inspired you during the creation of First Time. What do you think it is about bubble pop voicescapes paired with vulnerable lyrics that creates a sweet spot of juxtaposition in your music?
For me, I always am about being authentic. So when I think about true authenticity, I think of me when I didn't feel any pressure to feel anything or do anything, and that was when I was really little. And when I was really little, I think the first music I really connected to was Marina. And that was for a lot of reasons. I just love the way her music sounds. I think it's objectively catchy. I think anyone could really like jive with it, but I think in a way she creates this very deep connection with fans through her lyrics. You feel like you're looking into her soul, And that really inspires me, and that's something I continue to be inspired by. I love when people call it out and say, oh, you know, your work really reminds me of Marina or Kesha or Lady Gaga, because these are all women I love and admire so, so much. And I think at the end of the day, I really just want to be related to. And I think a lot of people enjoy that like hard edge of juxtaposition when it comes to that, oh, like cute, you know, road trip music, and then cut to really emotional, vulnerable lyrics about growing up or not being sure of how to conduct yourself in this society and stuff like that. And I think it's something everyone can relate to, but it doesn't have to be, you know, sad. It doesn't have to be like Billie Eilish if you don't want it to be.
You are a bilingual artist.
That's true.
And you've previously described incorporating multiple languages into your songs as unlocking something special, like being a part of a secret club. How do you think that maintaining that authenticity to yourself helps cultivate the special fan base that you have?
I think with being a bilingual artist, for me, there isn't so much intentionality behind it, but rather authenticity. I don't think there's a point in doing any of this if I wasn't staying true to who I was. I really love my culture and I love preserving it, but I also love working it into my framework and what makes me happy and what elevates my identity. I think for people to feel like they're in that secret club, it's not necessarily because I'm saying, hey, you need to know the Korean language, you need to try to understand my lyrics all the way, but it's more about accepting who I am as a person, because if you remove my Korean identity, there's none of this. It doesn't make sense to make music that's not 100% who I am.
What was the first bilingual artist you listened to that made you feel fully immersed into that quote-unquote secret club?
Funny enough, it was BTS back in 2016. I think they're technically considered bilingual. I think something that really struck a chord with me was the fact that they were gaining international attention even when people didn't know a single lick of Korean. People were looking up their lyrics in English. They were trying to translate them. They were memorizing the lyrics in Korean. They were trying to search for the deeper meaning to just like have this personal relationship almost with the people in BTS. And that was astounding to me because I hadn't really seen that facet of music before. I mean, a lot of the music I listened to in the US was in English, and I thought that was the connection point for people. But a lot of it is not only how catchy the music is, but also the effort that goes into it. I think the effort that goes into understanding someone leads to you caring more about them, kind of in like this weird, almost like cyclical way. So once I figured that out, and once I kind of started investing in my own culture in that new light, is when I started really appreciating that I can do everything and I don't have to pick.